thank you so much. This is an amazing webinar put together by some amazing people. We came into contact with the group at Ecogenia, and I have to say, an amazing group of amazingly hardworking and truly inspiring people. So thank you so much for being here. We hope you enjoy this webinar. We hope you enjoy the wine. We're sure you will. And I will just turn it over to one of the main hosts, Stamos. Hello, Foti.
Yes, Ari, thank you so much. And as you mentioned, super excited about this event. We are very delighted to connect ourselves with an amazing group, the folks at Ecogenia. It was been a delight to work with the team, Melina, Leah, and Erica, who's not with us tonight, but we truly enjoyed putting together collaborations to create the awareness for this amazing group. We're going to have Melina and Leah say some words about tonight's event, some words about Ecogenia. With me is also my special host and guest and good friend, Johnny Livanos from Diamond Wine Importers, who's going to assist us today in discussing the wines. And I also want to mention with us is our special guest, comedian actor Angelo Tsarouchas, who's in the house with us, who will also say a few words. But before we get going on our end, I want to turn it over to Leah and Melina.
Great. Hello, everybody. I can't believe I'm going before Angelo. This is so exciting. I'm not quite prepared for a stand-up routine, but yes, hello, everyone. We accidentally planned this for a little bit of a Greek holiday. So Melina and I are actually in Athens. It's 3:30 in the morning, so yamas to that. But it's Sikno Pempti, which I think is just worth mentioning. It's kind of a fun Greek holiday where it's an excuse to eat a lot of meat. Basically, everybody barbecues every bit of meat that they can find before Lent starts. So it's an excuse to be very, very gluttonous. And I think we had at least 5, if not 6 different types of meat for dinner tonight. So that's what's happening in Greece. But wanted to thank you all for being here. It really means a lot. I know some of you know who we are, but I am the co-founder of Ecogenia. This is our logo here. And we are in Greece trying to mobilize young people in paid civic service for climate action. So if you've read about Biden's climate corps at all, or if you're familiar with AmeriCorps, it's very similar to that. I have a couple of my AmeriCorps friends in the room. I see them. It's nice to see you. So if anybody wants to talk more about AmeriCorps, you got a couple people in the room here with you. But yeah, our goal is basically for any young Greek eventually to be able to sign up and spend anywhere from 3, 6 months, or even 1 year in a paid civic service term, working on a very local climate sustainability project. So a portion of your proceeds for this wine night went to a donation to Ecogenia. So we thank you very, very much for that. And with that, I think I'll kick it over to Melina to introduce herself and talk a little bit maybe about where we are and what we're up to this year. And actually, Melina, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I feel like for the non-Greek speakers in the room, we should explain the name, because for the Greeks, they get it kind of right away, but maybe you want to also give a teaser of that, and then we'll kick it over to Angelo.
Sounds good. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. Familiar and unfamiliar faces, your support means so much, especially because many, if not most of you, have also contributed to our SUM campaign. So I want to just acknowledge that as well. So I am Melina Dunham, and I am our development manager for Ecogenia, Greek American like Leah. So really grateful for kind of that experience. Also in Athens, where it is almost 3:45 in the morning. But as you know, carrying on from what Leah said, it has been an incredible year, especially this year. And we are getting ready to launch our first pilot in April, where 10 young Greeks are going to be spending 10 weeks in the mountains, building trails and working with the villages in the region that we will be in to think about ecotourism. In the fall, we will be going to the beautiful island of Crete, where we will be developing an educational program. So things are moving very fast, almost too fast in a way, but it's so inspiring and energizing to be getting started. And I just want to also say a huge thank you to our hosts, Aris and Fotis, and our special guests, Johnny and Angelo. And with that, I will kick it back to the team.
Excellent. This has been a great journey for us because as we get to learn more about what you're doing, I think we need more people like yourselves in the world that we live in today. So before also we get to Angel real quick, we're gonna take a tour through Greece through wine, and that's where Johnny's gonna help us kind of paint the picture of what it's like to be in Greece through the sips that we're gonna have momentarily. But Angelo, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on such a short notice. You got a busy schedule. You're a world traveler. What's going on, Angelo? I mean, tell us a little bit about your end.
I'm in a rehab center. I'm an addictive personality, and first of all, Ecogenia, I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing. Very challenging. It's a big task, but I can just see by you're up at 4 a.m. It means you guys are serious about this, and you gotta respect that 100% kudos to Ecogenia. And like you said earlier, it means family. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Family. Nothing else matters. As for me, I just go around the world telling jokes. We have a show called Connecting Greeks that I work with Adi and Foti, and they force me to do things against my free will, but that's another episode. We'll talk about that another time. But for the people listening, and I'll say this, Greeks are enterprising people, and I'm not a big wine drinker. I do have it every now and then. When I go to church, I take communion. If there's Pascha, which is Easter or Christmas, or there's that one aunt that comes over and just thinks every day is a holiday. That's the thing. But I'll say this about the Greek products that are coming out of Greece right now. And you can see that the diaspora, all of us are children of the diaspora, myself born in Canada. And I love Canada so much that I live in Los Angeles now. So that's where I am. I married an American woman, and it's been wonderful. We have a half Armenian, half Greek child, and she drinks wine. And but the truth of the matter is that the products that are coming out of Greece, and I can say this with confidence, are superior to a lot of other products in the world. And I'm talking the food, I'm talking the cheese, I'm talking the olives, I'm talking the figs, I'm talking everything. I've had friends of mine in Hollywood, friends of mine in Canada, Australia, everywhere, South Africa, doesn't matter where you go. And the one thing they've been praising with the Greek products is the Greek wines. And if you've noticed, even in Hollywood and in a lot of mainstream restaurants now, they're carrying more and more Greek wines to complement them. There's some great restaurants in New York, in LA, in Las Vegas, anywhere you go. So I'm a mainstream comedian. I make a living out of taking the piss out of things. That love, family, love, life, dumb people, it doesn't matter. Myself included, self-deprecating. But the truth of the matter is, though, if you notice, and I know all you people are obviously Philhellenes, lovers of the Greeks. And the thing is that I've said this, everybody should go to Greece once in their life. Once. I used to be a travel agent. Go to Greece and see it. I've had people tell me, well, I'm going to go to Aruba, and those places are nice. But if you go to Greece once in your life, it's going to change your life. You're going to see the way people eat. You're going to see the way people drink. You're going to see I can't explain it. It's a way of life that people, and we try to encompass all those things together. And good on Ecogenia, they're going back. They're doing some nice work. Ecotourism in Greece, what better place to do? It's anywhere you go in Greece, you're going to find a marvel. You're going to find architects, architectural things. You're going to find everything's old, and nobody's in a hurry. And in Ikaria, the most amount of centurions in the world come from a place in Greece called Ikaria. So what we call the Mediterranean diet in North America, it's Tuesday and Icaria. They've got more centurions living there than anywhere per capita in the world because they drink wine every day. So what is that? So here's what I'm trying to say to you guys. The message is you want to live a long, happy life. Drink wine, eat feta and Kalamata olives and psomi and tomates. It's psicopempty. So I've been stuffing my face with ribs and stuff all day today because we're supposed to, we're fasting for Lent. Our Easter is different than the other Easter. I don't know why. That's another conversation. We don't want to get into that today. I don't know why, but it's at the end of the day, it's all good. So the secret to life is to explore it, to drink it, and to love it. That's all I'm going to say to you guys. Not a philosopher. So congratulations, Ecogenia. And to Ari and Forte, I love these guys. And all you people listening on today, thanks for coming on today on this. This is great. And I mean, you're not going to be, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be disappointed with any of these choices you're going to make. So.
Thank you so much, Angelo. That was great.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you.
I got to go eat some ribs now.
Bravo, Angelo. Excellent. So as Angelo has mentioned, I'm sure he revved everybody up to start sipping their wines, but let's turn it over to Johnny. And Johnny, let's have a few words before we get going for our tasting.
Hey, everybody. So my name is Johnny Livanos. I am the sales manager here for Diamond Wine Importers. Yeah, I come from a long lineage of restaurateurs. My family owns restaurants, Greek restaurants in New York. So like Molivos, Lucia, Oceana. So I grew up working in a restaurant environment, always serving Greek wine. And now it's something I do for a living. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the wines from Greece. You have 3 wines that you have. I think most of you should have 3 wines today. In the background, in addition to working with wines, I also created a gin from Greece. We're one of the only gins available from being made in Greece called Stray Dog. And we donate a portion of our sales to support stray dog shelters in Greece. So for those of you who can get it, I recommend checking it out. But yeah, Fotios, should we go right into the, whoa.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And real quickly, I want to just mention, thank you for everyone's patience, getting all these packages out to everybody in time. There's a guest that I want to say thank you to who was very instrumental in helping us out. Valerie Thomas is with us on tonight. We just want to send out a shout out to you. Thank you so much for being so supportive and patient. But everybody got their packages, I'm sure. So there's a couple points though too I should mention, Johnny, is that on one of the reds, some of us have Alexakis from Crete, some of us have Dulufakis from Crete. So we'll just make that a reference as we get into the program.
Yeah, we'll talk about both wines.
Excellent. So yeah, so our journey is going to touch on 3 regions of Greece, Crete, Naoussa, and Mantinia. So I'll hand it over to you, Johnny. You can go for it.
Cool. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see this okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So I always love to say that it's time for Greece, and especially when it's about the wines of Greece. I mean, Greece has been making wine for thousands of years. It's one of the gateways of modern winemaking into the Western civilization was through Greece. It's believed that wine was started in the Levant and in Egypt, but then came through Greece, and from there it ended up being moved into the Roman Empire, the rest of Europe, and now the world. So, but in that 3,000 year, in those thousands of years of time, Greece had some issues, right? We had the Ottoman occupation, we've had 2 world wars, and a lot of that affected how the wine industry of Greece developed. So people say Greece is an up and coming wine region. Well, it's been making wine for longer than most parts of the world, but it's just now starting to reach this new level of quality, sophistication, and deliciousness, but applying it to in the ancient varieties of Greece. So that's where I find wines of Greece right now are more exciting than they've ever been, because the winemakers are becoming more advanced. People are becoming more interested. So as a result, there's more demand. And as more demand comes in, then the wines get even better and better and better. So really excited to share with you the variety of wines that we have today. I have this map of Greece, so you could all take a look at. For those of you who haven't been to Greece, you have to go. As Angelo said, it's a birthright. You must go. But Greece is a very geographically diverse country. And I love sharing a map of Greece because this is a topography map. You can see how Greece is actually one of the most mountainous countries in Europe. It's extremely mountainous, and all the way from the northern part of Greece, the Peloponnese here, even in Crete, the island of Crete, there's mountain ranges all throughout Greece, and it's the third most mountainous country in Europe after Austria and Switzerland. So something people always don't realize is that Greece isn't just a bunch of beaches and islands. It's a country with a tremendous amount of diversity. And with that geographical diversity comes a diversity in the food that is produced, but also in the types of grapes that are grown and the style of wines that are made. So definitely something that we love to share with people. And it's one thing that creates such a unique level of a unique variety of wines as a result of the different types of geography. So Crete here, we're going to be tasting red wines from Crete, which is the southernmost island in Greece and one of the largest islands in the Mediterranean Sea. Then we'll start with the wine from here, Mantinia, which is in the center of the Peloponnesos, southern Greece. And then we have a red as well from Naoussa, from Kiriani, that is going to be in northern Greece. So 3 very important regions for winemaking. Also 3 great regions that you should visit. They're both all beautiful places for tourism. And yeah, so one thing I like to mention, there's over 1,300 wineries in Greece. But when we started importing from Greece, there was only about like 200 or 300. So in the last 20, 30 years, the industry has really exploded. It's currently experiencing a renaissance, where in the past, you mainly had small little farmers who, Greece is an agricultural based society, and you mainly had small farmers that were growing grapes just because that they got good money for their grapes, and they would sell it to other winemakers, but they didn't know how to make wine. They were just farmers. But now, as people were inspired and they realized how making great wine is becoming a steward of the land and helps showcase the culture and everything that goes along with it, you've seen more and more people develop and invest in their land and build wineries, and it's pretty amazing to see how it's all changing and continually growing. There are over 300 indigenous varieties in Greece. So common varieties you might find are Aioritiko, Kotsefali, which is from Crete, Liatiko, which is also from Crete. You'll try either one of those. Limnio, Xinomavro, which is one of my favorites from the north. So these are just some to get a look, just to keep an eye out for. And then for whites, there's the 2 main important varieties I love to mention. Assyrtiko, which is the indigenous white variety of Santorini. Santorini is a volcanic island in the South Aegean Sea in the Kyklades island chain, and Moscofilero. And if you all want or haven't started yet, you can pour yourself a glass of the Domaine Skouras Moscofilero. It's good to drink while we talk about wine. That's going to be the first wine I'll get into in a minute. But Moscofilero is a light pink skin variety, usually producing lively, crisp, full-bodied, aromatic, fragrant white wines that are really, really fun. So we'll start with Mantinia in the first wine. So go ahead and pour yourself a glass of the Domaine Skouras Mantinia. And this is coming from this part of Greece. Mantinia is in the mountains of the Peloponnesos of southern Greece. So when you refer to southern Greece, you're normally referring to this peninsula here. If you can see my cursor, this peninsula in the southern part of Greece, the Peloponnese. It's about, and depending on who's driving, it's about an hour to 2-hour drive from Athens. You cross over the Corinth Canal, and then you pass Nafplio, which is the original capital of Greece, and then you find yourself in Mantinia. Mantinia is a beautiful high elevation area. So one of the most mountainous wine regions in Greece. Mantinia is a PDO appellation. What that means is it's a protected designation of origin appellation. Greece, in addition to other parts of Europe and other parts of the world, have wine laws, meaning if you want to put Mantinia on the label, you need to follow these laws. And main things are you need to have your wine grown in a higher altitude, and it needs to be 100% Moscofilero. Well, technically only 85% Moscofilero, but most of them are about 100% Moscofilero. The vineyards here are about 35, are up in the mountains, about 2,000 feet of elevation. And what makes elevation important to winemaking? Well, Greece, for those of you who haven't been, it gets pretty hot, and especially in the Peloponnesos in the summertime. But when you're up in the mountains, the temperature stays fairly cool. It doesn't get as scorching hot as it does down in the bottom of the valley. So it helps protect the aromatics of the wine. It helps protect the flavor. And as a grape matures and ripens slowly, it gets to develop all the flavors, all the nuances that make it unique and interesting. Unlike other parts of the world where, it's extremely hot, they ripen very quick. You have high alcohol, high sugar, and then sometimes it's just in your face, where these wines have a little bit of subtlety. They have finesse, they're nuanced. And that's what makes wines from Mantinia and the mountainous regions of Greece so special. The winery here is Domaine Skouras, so we're going to be tasting from them. They're the first winery that we imported from Greece, and one of the instrumental pioneers in helping to push along this renaissance in Greek winemaking. So we'll talk about Moscofilero. So Moscofilero, if those of you who have it in front of you or drinking it, I'm sure you could smell that this is an extremely aromatic white wine. I mean, it is full of so many beautiful aromas on the nose. It is probably one of the more aromatic whites of Greece. And Greece makes a lot of aromatic white wines. You have Malvasia, Muscat, of different varieties of Muscat. But Moscofilero, I think, is one of the most important white varieties just because of its unique characteristics. So if you look at the picture here, you can see that it's not actually a white grape. It's actually a pink skin grape, but the juice has no color at all, which makes it, again, a very unique grape. Usually they're low in alcohol. The wine you have is only 12%, and they go from 10 to 12.5%, so lower in alcohol, but they have bright acidity, meaning they're very crisp. They have a little bit of a bite to it, right? A little bit of citrus notes. And that's something I love about these wines, because wines with good acidity pair best with food. If a wine is sweet, it might not go the best with having a meal. So having an aromatic wine that's also bright and acidic is rare. Usually those aromatic wines are going to be a little bit on the sweeter side, right? So it makes it just a really fun wine to pair with different dishes. It kind of tastes like spring in a glass, and we're approaching spring, even though I think tomorrow we're getting a blizzard in some parts of the country. And in Greece, I don't know, you guys probably feels like spring there. But this is a kind of wine that really makes me feel like spring has begun. So there's a couple other pictures to illustrate how mountainous these areas are. So the vineyards are located really high up in the mountains of southern Greece. So beautiful vineyards, very lush here. They're a sustainable winery, so they don't use any pesticides. Organic practicing winery here. Everything is done by hand. Something that's very important to wineries in Greece in general is they make wines the way they've always made them. Being a natural wine, the word natural wine is kind of a misunderstood term these days. People call certain wines natural because they have low sulfites and things like that. But the truth is, in Greece, they've always been making wine a natural way. They're stewards of the land. These are people who respect nature, respect their land, and they don't want to put pesticides and fertilizers into their soil. They want to do it the natural way. And as a result, you get wines with a lot of character, a lot of diversity, and yeah, something we're very proud of. So here's George Skouras. He's the founder of Domaine Skouras. And I'll have a minute. Is that okay? I can play the video, the Skouras video. Yeah, I'm going to show you. I'll have to play a couple minutes of him talking about.
And what we were tasting last night. Okay, Moscofilero. It is my grape. I love that grape very much. It is in the center of Peloponnese. I make wine with the Moscofilero the last 20 years. Muscofilero, it is a grape variety in this, which we can find in the center of Peloponnese, in the plateau, up, and there is, and for that, because of that, it's typical. At about 2,200 feet, and up there it is a cold area of Peloponnese. Imagine that the harvest comes in October. That means a lot. As this area is, it's a cold area, the Muscofilero preserves the aromatics. By itself, the grapes of Muscofilero, they have red skin, which is not exactly red because there are a lot of clones. So there is the Asprofilero, white.
So yeah, I'd just like to get him to talk a little bit about it. So here's a picture of the bottle you'll have. 25-year-old vines, high elevation vineyards. And I love the tasting notes they have below. White, the yellow, opulent aromas of white flowers, light and fresh honeysuckle, rounded out with notes of rose petal and passion fruit, bright, joyful acidity that is positively refreshing and leads to a surprisingly long finish of orange rind and a whisper of white pepper. Winemakers always have the most poetic descriptors. So what do you all think? Any questions, comments? We can type it in the chat box and I could go through them little by little as we proceed. Hopefully you enjoyed this wine so far. A great example of white wines from Greece is this particular grape. But yeah, I'd love to see if anyone has any comments, questions before we continue on with some of the red wines. All right, so I guess we'll continue.
Johnny,
Yeah.
before I forget, I wanted to mention that to all of our guests that, we are actually connecting the fact that we're tying in wineries that practice sustainability. They're eco-friendly, and you had mentioned a few words that, these are folks that have been practicing from generations. They're stewards of the land. So, there's barely any intervention with the farming and the winemaking process. And to all the efforts of Ecogenia, who are all about, the eco-friendly sustainability approach, these are wines that are being made as clean as possible.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's something that's so important to us and important to the wineries of Greece, and also like nothing really ever goes to waste. Like, once they finish the winemaking of this particular wine you have in your glass, they take the skins, the leftover skins, and they give them to distilleries where they then make tsipuro or tsikudia out of that. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically like a pisco or grappa made from the leftover skins of winemaking. And by law, you can't just throw it out. They don't let it go to waste. So even every little last drop of wine, of alcohol, ends up getting completely recycled and reused. And to me, I just find that to be super special. Nothing goes to waste at all.
Hey, can I throw in a fun fact, Johnny?
Yeah.
So a lot of, like you said, a lot of the whatever they don't use goes into different things like tsikudia. And I just want to mention, my mom is from Crete. Her last name is Tsikudakis. She told me that her family invented tsikudia, and unless somebody out there can prove me wrong, I'm going to go with that. So that's a fun fact for you guys right now.
You're like famous. You're like the godfather of tsikudia.
That's what I hear, but unless you prove me wrong, we're going to go with it.
Greeks invented everything, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. All right, so we're gonna move on to, wait, I see some things in the chat box. A lot of compliments, cool, thank you, awesome. All right, so we are gonna move now to northern Greece. We're going to talk about the Kyriani Naoussa Cuvée Village. So you all should have that wine. I think everyone got that wine. This is the red wine from Kyriani. Naoussa is this little green spot right here in northern Greece. Naoussa is a very important region for red wine making. It's the first appellation in Greece to get a PDO status. And PDO stands again for Protected Designation of Origin. So it's one of the first areas to be considered like, this is a place where we make this wine, only this wine. If it has Naoussa on the label, it needs to be 100% Xino Mavro. And we'll talk about that in a second. So PDO Naoussa must be 100% Xino Mavro. It was established in 1972. What's cool about this area is there's no dominant soil type. So it allows for a patchwork of different types of soil, which produces varying types of wine. So from winery, from vineyard to vineyard, you're going to get a very different type of wine, which is really cool how the soil just completely changes the flavor of a grape. A mixture of limestone to loam, sand, and clay. Also another mountainous area. So you can see by the picture here, we're up in the mountains of Greece, between 150 to 300 meters. So about 2,000 feet, 1,500 to 2,000 feet of elevation, which is also helps preserve the aromatics of the wine. What I love about this part of Greece is just how green it is. It's a very lush part of the country, where lots of part of Greece are very dry. Here it is very green, and you feel like it's just full of life, while still having a Mediterranean climate. So the grape variety we have is called Xino Mavro. This roughly translates to acid black. So xino means acid or acidity or tartness. Black is the word for the color. Mavro is the word for the color black, because it produces a very dark skinned grape. You can see here. Typically has high tannins, notes of red and black fruits, olive, tomato, and tobacco. And always has good bright acidity. So again, another high acidity means it's going to be a wine that is great with food. People believe that this particular wine is related to Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo being the king red grape of northern Italy, where they make Barolo and Barbaresco. So people find these wines to be similar, and you might actually taste similarities if you like wines of northern Italy. This leads us to Kyriani. So Kyriani is, in Greek, it means Sir John. Kyria means sir, and Yanni is the word for John. So Kyriani is named after Yannis Boutari, which is this gentleman here on the right, who founded Kyriani in 1997. Part of the Boutari family. So Boutari has been making wines in Greece since the 1870s. So one of the longest lineage of winemaking families in Greece. But basically in the late 90s, Yanni kind of split from his siblings. They split up the business, and he took the estate in the northern part of Greece, and his brother took the other wineries they have. And their focus is really bringing a quality back to this area of Naoussa. Here's a little aerial view of the winery. You can see the winery there, and they have a bunch of different vineyards that are surrounding their winery. So everything they do is done by hand. It's all done on this particular plot of land, and everything they do is basically within their own ecosystem. I love this picture. You can see during the harvest, everyone comes together. They hire a lot of people from the local villages to come and support. Because again, everything is done by hand. That's the best way to ensure high quality wines, because grapes don't ripen evenly, right? You might have one vine ripening faster than another. So they go by hand, so they could actually physically look and pick the grapes that are ready and leave the ones that aren't, so that they come back the next day to get those, or a day after. So you can see these nice rolling hills of vines. And they make a large range of wines here at Kyriani. But the one we're going to talk about is the Naoussa Cuvée Village. So for those of you who have it in your glass, you probably are tasting that it's nice and full-bodied red. It ages in oak barrels, French and American oak barrels, for about 12 months. And then they age it in the bottle for 6 months before releasing it. Usually you have good pronounced tannin, so it has some structure, some body, some grip to it. It's the kind of wine that I'd love to pair with food, especially today. All the meats everyone was talking about, this is the kind of wine I would love with some grilled lamb chops, or some of the lucanico pork sausage. That's one of my favorite dishes. I don't know, what did you all eat today, Melina and Leah? Did you guys have any standout?
Oh yeah. Kokoretsi, we had lamb, what did we have? Lamb kebab, 3 different kinds of souvlakia. I mean, you name it. It was a little bit over the top, but it was Yeah, too much,
Jealous.
too much of everything.
Very jealous.
Well, what I love about this particular wine is that it kind of goes with a variety of different dishes. So everything you mentioned, I think, would taste good with this particular wine because it's not overly tannic. It's right in the middle of terms of body, but it has the acidity and it has a structure that makes it fun to pair a lot of different types of things. So Xino Mavro is one of my favorite reds from Greece. You're starting to see it used in many different types of restaurants are pouring it. And Greece for the longest time was mainly known for their white wines. I think because in America, we think of Greece being like Greek food being seafood and light and fresh, and white wines pair very well with those types of dishes. But it's the red wines of Greece that I think, like, don't sleep on those. You're going to see that they are some of the best in the world. And in the next wine, we talk about Crete, Eric Asimov from the New York Times, he picked one red wine, and it was this one to be as one of the best value wines you could find. So something that we're tremendously proud of. And as people are starting to venture off and away from just drinking Italian and French and American wines, Greece deserves to be a part of your everyday repertoire, just because their wines are so versatile. They pair with lots of different types of cuisines. They're great value too. I mean, I can't forget that part of it. They're not overly priced at all compared especially to parts of France. And for the quality you're getting for the price, they're just fantastic.
And Johnny, to your point too, the wines definitely deliver balance. And you're talking about structure, flavor, composition. Balance is really key, I think, in wine production, that often enough we see so much wine that's out there that really miss that mark.
Yeah, and it comes down to the Greek culture, and Greece, wine is food. It's a part of your dinner table. It's not necessarily something you're drinking just to drink. It's something that is a part of, the social fabric of the country, but it's a part of the dinner table. It's like a side dish in a way, it's meant to be with what you're eating. And as a result, the wines really pair well with food. I think as a country, as a style, the wines are meant to be consumed with food. So that's why you get these bright, balanced wines that are always that pair well with a variety of types of dishes. And I think that's very different than in the United States, where we make delicious wines, but our wines tend to be a lot more like fruit forward and a little, sometimes it's even sweet. It's still very well rounded, of course, but I think, Greece has been doing wines like this forever, and it's always been meant to be a pairing with different variety of dishes. So something that I think is very important to mention. I like sharing this because people don't believe me that Greece has 4 seasons sometimes. So this is snowfall in the mountains of northern Greece. They do have snow. All right, so for the last week,
sometimes too.
Didn't it snow like last week or 2 weeks ago? Yeah. It was a cold winter in Europe. I think they had snow even in Santorini and Mykonos this year too. Cold winter in Greece. But yeah, so Greece does have 4 seasons. It's not just beach time all year round. All right, so we're gonna finish off by talking about Crete. So Crete is the southernmost part of Europe, the southernmost part of Greece, the largest island in Greece, and a fun place for wine. Crete is one of the hubs of winemaking to Greece, starting with the ancient Minoan civilization. Even in the wineries we work with have these ancient Minoan foot presses like this that are scattered all throughout the island, which is amazing. This is a couple thousand years old, and it's still left today. So the passion for wine, the history of wine really runs deep in Greece, in Crete especially. Yeah, so this is an ancient press in Crete. You could fit about 50 people inside one of these. So main varieties that they produce on Crete for reds, they have Liatico, which is this one, and I believe half of the group has Douloufakis Liatico. Viriano is for white. Malvasia is another white aromatic grape, and then they also do a red grape called Kotsifali. Kotsifali is another very fantastic red grape from Crete. So here's some pictures of Douloufakis. Sorry that they're a little stretched out weird. But Crete is, if you can see here, it's one of the most one of my favorite places to travel to. My family comes from the island of Lesbos, but I kind of wish they were from Crete just because I want to go there more often. Since it's such a large island, there's so much to do and to see. And then if you look at this, if this is on the top of a hill and vineyards, it's a patchwork of different agricultural products. So looking up here, you can see that these looks like olive groves mixed with some sort of like fruit orchards mixed with then vineyards. So it's just a patchwork of olives, then probably fig trees, and then grapes, and repeat and repeat. It's just the agriculture from Crete is so, it's so special. The cheese, I don't know, I think the sheep there just eat just like the wild herbs all day long. So the sheep's milk is delicious. So any cheese you get from Crete is fantastic. Wildflower honey they just serve with lots of different dishes. The food from Crete is amazing. Yeah, it's a very special place.
So Johnny, from the sounds of it, there's no need for supermarkets in Crete.
Yeah, you could just go down the street and pick some herbs.
You have everything you need.
Milk the local sheep and you're good.
Johnny should be the poster boy for travel to Crete, I think.
Well, Crete is where I had the idea for Stray Dog Gin, was on a trip in Crete. I got inspired to make a gin just because I was surrounded by all these wild herbs and wild ingredients. I put it in a glass of tiporo and I was like, whoa, this is basically a gin in a glass. Why is
that's such a cool origin story. I love that.
Yeah, it just happened just by like, it was like a light bulb moment.
And not to make this a Crete commercial, but this is actually the first place we went over the summer. It was where Ecogenia's team met for the very first time. But I must say, and I'm Greek American, I've been going to Greece my whole life. The Cretans really take the hospitality to a next level that is incomprehensible, honestly, unless you experience it. And I did read somewhere that they also consume, I think it's 5 or 6 times more olive oil per capita than the mainland of Greece, which is also hard to believe, but they do everything next level. They take everything about being Greek and Greek cuisine and they just take it up a notch. So
and they serve raki with coffee.
Yeah,
they serve booze in the morning with your coffee when you finish.
Yeah.
So to your point, then basically the raki is what cancels out the cholesterol with all that olive oil.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think in Crete they call it like the Texas of Greece. Just it's like everything's bigger in Crete. Here is a cool picture. I love sharing this because we talk about sustainable farming practices. So what you see here is a vineyard row in the springtime before the leaves have budded, and in the middle of the vines they have what's called cover crops. So instead of using fertilizer and other chemicals to fertilize their plants, they grow these certain cover crops, which basically cover the soil, so that it absorbs a lot of the nutrients and like the nitrogen, so that when it's time to before they're getting into the spring, they'll till all this back into the soil, so it returns a lot of the nitrogen back underground. And this is a natural way to basically take care of the land, to prevent degradation of the land over time, and to just maintain the nutrients that soil needs to be sustainable and to continue to produce delicious fruit generation after generation. So I love that they do that here. I already showed that picture. Here's just another aerial shots of Crete. I love the drastic landscape. I mean, you could go to Crete and there's so much to see and do. It's one of the few places in Greece where you could be standing and turn around and see a snow-capped mountain, and then they look the other direction and stare at the ocean. Organic farming. They also do traditional vinification here in Crete, where they age wines in clay amphora, which is very cool, and to see the nod to the past, and make some really fun wines. This is Nikos Touloufakis there. And we have the Liatico. So some of you have the Liatico. The Liatico is a red wine, of course, made from the indigenous red grape of Crete. And what I love about Crete is that they work a lot with indigenous varieties of the island. So Greece has hundreds of grapes that grow throughout the country. But then in Crete, there's about 50 or so grapes that only grow on Crete. Liatico being one of the best red varieties from this part of the country. So definitely worth checking out. one other cool factor about Crete is that it's a island, but the vineyards are located in the mountains. So you're both on a mountain and on an island. So you have a little bit of the best of both worlds there. This wine spends 8 months in the oak barrels, and a flavor profile, it has this really nice earthiness. It kind of reminds me of like Italian reds, like Barbera d'Alba, or maybe like Sicilian red. So if you like wines of Italy, like you'd love Liatico. Because it has this really delicious like earthiness, this floral fragrance, great body, while still being a little bit lighter as well. Yeah. And then the other half of the group has Alexakis Kotsifali Syrah blend. So Alexakis is another pioneering producer on the island, currently managed by two brothers, Apostolos and Lazaros. They're a third generation family-owned winery. And they're actually one of the largest wineries on Crete. And what they do is they spend a lot of energy training smaller farmers how to produce better grapes, because they work a lot with buying grapes from all these little farmers. So they're kind of really instrumental to helping to modernize the wine industry on Crete, teaching people how to grow wines properly. It's something that we love to see, because in Greeks can be very competitive. But it's nice when you see people want others to succeed and when they try to help each other grow. And that has been huge for the wine industry as a whole. So some pictures of the vineyards. Crete does have 4 seasons, so you do have some snow in the mountains of Crete. So something, even though it's a southern island, because you're high elevation, you do have a good amount of snowfall there. Actually, I read an article recently in the New York Times about these backpacker skiers in Crete who just climb up the mountains and ski down. There's no ski resorts, but they just hike and ski, which I want to do. And speaking of all the meats we do, this is a traditional Cretan barbecue. So they do a little fire, probably made with like leftover vines from the grapes. They use the whole animal, nothing goes to waste, even the organs are cooked. So this is a traditional Cretan barbecue, slow over wood fire, one of the best tasting lamb I ever had in my life, but pairs great with Kotsifali Syrah. So Kotsifali is a aromatic red grape, very fruit forward red grape from Crete. Normally you use this for blending because it is a little bit lighter. So here in Crete, they blend it with a Syrah. So Syrah isn't native to Crete, but it works really, really well in this type of environment. And the Syrah gives this wine a little bit of spice, a little bit of dimension, a little bit of body, while the Kotsifali gives it some fruit characteristics, some life, some fruity elements that make it a very fun wine. And I think you have the 2016 vintage. This is a wine that you could age for a long time. It's delicious. I love that you're having a 2016, and it still has a lot of freshness to it, which is very, very fun. So that's my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I hope you all enjoyed the wines and learned a little something, and appreciate a little of how diverse and interesting the wines of Greece are. And definitely recommend you checking these out. When you go out to a restaurant, ask for Greek wine. If you go to Greece, only drink Greek wine. Don't go to Greece and order French wines. It's not allowed. And yeah, I mean, most of the best wines in Greece stay in Greece. Actually, 80% of all wine produced in Greece stays in Greece. So you could go when you travel there, drink Greek wine, eat Greek food, but definitely, continue to seek these out. Work with Greek Wine Club. They ship all over the country. So you guys could get all these wines at your doorstep. And yeah.
Johnny, that was if I can say a few words, that was impressive on your part, because breaking down the the importance of key things about wines from Greece is so hard, because Greek wines have been in the shadows for so many years, and Greek wines have forever had a stigma about being either too sweet or tasting like pine resin, which we've overcome that over the last 20 years. And it's not till recently, with the efforts of like yourself and your company, that are actually sourcing wines from Greece into the US market that really can stand up to any great internationally recognized wine producing country in the world. They're affordable, as you mentioned, and they're approachable. For me, that's the best element of Greek wine is they're approachable. They're easy to drink, meaning that they're great on the palate. As you mentioned, they're aromatic. So that's the first introduction to something that is going to give you a preview of what to taste. And they're accessible through our platform, as you mentioned. So I hope everyone enjoyed them. Maybe in the chat box, you can tell us out of the three, which one maybe you enjoyed. Any feedback you can give us would be much appreciated. And anything else you want to mention, the time is yours now.
So I saw one question. There are tasting rooms of these wineries. Yes, I'm going to type my email in here. I can't talk and type at the same time. Giant Diamond diamondwineimporters.com. Yeah, so all the wineries you work with have tasting rooms. And I highly recommend going to visit the wineries of Greece. I mean, we talked about Greek hospitality. Go to a winery and you really experience that, because they would love to share these things with visitors. So definitely recommend visiting the wineries of Greece. Domain Skouras is probably one of the easiest to get to, because you can drive there from Athens. So if you wanted to take a day trip from Athens, it's definitely doable. Santorini has some of the most amazing wineries in the world, because they don't grow their grapes like they do there anywhere else on these volcanic soil. And then Crete is just, highly recommend going to Crete. It's also one of the most affordable places to travel to, and it's a lot of value for both hotels, Airbnbs, ecotourism hotels. I'm pretty sure there's a lot there, and the wineries are just a drive away from the cities. Hiking, beaches, I love it there. What else? Someone said, can we purchase? Can you share an order form? So I think if you go to GreekWineClub.com, you can see all these wines available for purchase. Right?
Actually, it's .co. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the .com, but GreekWineClub.co, or
That's not unfortunate. That was very planned on my part.
okay. And then also we have a second platform called Greekazon.com as well that has
That's easier.
a variety of Greek wines and maybe some cool foods from Greece that can complement the wines as well.
And I just want to ask Leah, Melina, do you guys want to open up microphones, anything like that? Have a little bit people talking, or do you guys want to kind of wrap up?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean,
let's do it.
I gotta be honest, I really want to hear from Valerie, because she has like all these ladies. It looks amazing at their house. They probably have no idea I'm talking about them, but the whole vibe there looks amazing, as well as in Lily's apartment. But Valerie, hi.
Alabama in the house.
Yes,
It
it was a saga to get these ladies their wine because of the laws in Alabama.
They don't know how I got the wine. And we're just gonna say it's here and they loved it. And Santos will talk about how we can get the wines to one of our local wine stores here in the city of Birmingham. So,
Yeah, our wines are. We have wines distributed in Birmingham. We just got to connect you with our distributor. We can make that happen.
okay, perfect. There you go. Because they were all asking. We're all in. We're all in.
Awesome.
Already.
Yes, thank you, Valerie. Valerie is like,
I drink wine every day, and it's nice to have some that doesn't have sulfites on the bottle. It warns me about the sulfites, and then I drink it anyway. It would be nice to not take that risk.
yeah, there you go. And Valerie's been to Greece once. We did manage to get her there. She had a nice Greek experience. She did meet a authentic Yayam Papu, and had the whole deal. So
You know how to say Kalimata.
Bravo.
bravo.
To some of the Greeks on the call, are these wines that you had before? These regions you've been to? Are there other wines that you really like? Where are you all from? Greeks and non-Greeks, just, what'd you eat tonight? Everything.
Yeah. Wait, we gotta get who is it? I was seeing some.
Hi, Mommy.
people.
Hi, honey. I just unmuted myself. Was that question for me?
Everyone.
Well, actually, I have to say that this wine has been a staple in my house for over
You might be
15
muted.
years.
No, not.
And I've served it with beautiful grilled fish over like a nice bean soup. But I've never had this one, and I think I need 3 cases. It is awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It drinks so beautifully. The last one we have not tried because we're gonna have dinner inside. But I want to say thank you so much for this event. I'm here with my friend Dominique, and this is Melina's boyfriend, Pierre Alexander.
Hello.
Here.
Hi.
And
Francisco there. Huh?
so we're gonna say goodbye. We're gonna not take up any more airtime.
Melina, look what just arrived.
Hi, Grandpa.
Resina.
That's old school right there. Love
I
it.
heard that you had I heard you had an affinity for that. Yeah.
Are you saying it doesn't taste like turpentine anymore? Did I hear that?
Absolutely.
That was the first Greek wine I had. I used to go to lunch 50 years ago, and there was a Greek restaurant, and I had a Greek salad, a glass of Retsina, some French bread, and a tip for $5.
That's a beautiful lunch right there.
And that was my first introduction to Greek wine. And then when we traveled in Greece, we understood the story behind the resin in it, and that was that the Turks didn't think it was wine, so they didn't tax it. Is that true, or is that just is that a guide tour?
I think that's a one story they tell, but I think it might be inaccurate. I think what I've been told, and I think it has a little more merit, is that so back in the day, before there was the invention of stainless steel tanks and oak barrels, all wine was aged in clay amphora, in clay pots. And they used resin as a way to seal the lids, because it would prevent any air from getting in and spoiling the wine. So they used the resin as a glue, but it ended up flavoring the wine.
Okay.
Because they were drinking Retsina way before the Turks got into the picture. So
okay.
But I don't know. Maybe it helped with that too. At 600 years later.
So this was great. This was amazing, an amazing episode. Before we kind of say our thank yous, I just want to ask Leah, Melina, anything else you guys want to mention? Anything else, or could I go in my little thank you route?
I mean, just briefly, Melina, and I'll let you close out. But thank you all for showing up for this. Ooh. That was like all of a sudden my face was very big. Thank you all so much for showing up for this. I learned a lot actually. And yeah, I'm glad this is recorded. Actually would love the slides because it'll help me pick out some wines while we're here, even in Athens, understanding the different types. And we hope everybody here, I think Melina and I will send everybody a note. So we would love to stay in touch with you. If you don't already have our newsletter or follow us on social media. Our website's ecogenia.org, and we're on all the social channels. We're embarking on our pilot year, as we mentioned. So it's a big year for us. The momentum is really building, and we're excited to embark on it. And just thank you to the Connecting Greeks team for supporting us in so many ways and being our cheerleaders from the diaspora in the States. We really appreciate it. But yeah, Melina, anything you want to add?
No, again, just thank you all so much. It's almost
Melina's like, it's 4:30, guys.
No, I mean, I'm like watching all of you around tables, enjoying the wine and the food. And we need to do this when I'm back stateside so that I can enjoy it properly. But really, thank you all so much. It means a lot to see you, and I really appreciate you all showing up.
That's great.
We love you, Melina.
We miss you, Melina. Love
Miss
you.
you guys. Love you all.
All right. I want to say a couple of words myself. Thank so much to the Ecogenia team. these, like I said in the beginning, they are doing such amazing work. They're doing important work. And I've worked, with many different types of teams, from the low end to the high end, from startups to corporate Fortune 500. And these are great people. They get things done. I have full faith in everything they do. And that's one of the reasons why we put so much effort into connecting with them and doing any sort of event with them. So any support for Ecogenia is an amazing thing to do, because it's not going to go to waste at all. They're a great group of people doing great things. Secondly, Johnny, always, I've done, I think, 100 webinars with Johnny. I learn something every single time this guy gets on the screen. I always say, I bet you I know everything that he's going to say, and he always proves me wrong. He is an amazing host. He knows his stuff, a great guy. And we thank you so much, Johnny, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Foti, you're an okay dude. I'm not going to say too much about you, but he is my partner, so I got to say thank you to him too. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for supporting. And the wines are available on our platform. Please support Ecogenia and everything they do. We hope that you enjoyed the wine. We hope that you would love to get more. We hope you go to Greece. We hope all these things for you guys. Thank you so much, Leah, Melina, the rest of the Ecogenia team, Johnny, Foti, and Angelo. I don't know if he's still on, but thank you as well. And that's it. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys wherever we see you in the support for Ecogenia, getting wine and going to Greece. Maybe we'll see you there in person, but whatever it is, enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.